while we wait the arrival of the budget department. I'm going to sub for Councilor Gathers, and I'm here joined with Councilor Nave and the President Hudson, Councilor Large Paniagua, and Councilor Joel Majuk. And I'm here with the Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner, and why don't you lead us off, whichever one of you.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, Councilor, President Hudson. First off, I want to make sure that I pass out these org charts for you. And also give a shout out to our rock star, do everything finance budget person, Jenna Vendetti, who also is giving me a tissue, which is great. She keeps our budget in line. As you can see, from year to year, our budget pretty much stays flat. No major increases, no major decreases. She finds the money and makes it work. So shout out to Jenna for that. And I'm going to pass it to our first deputy in charge, Ann Fordock, to lead us through the departments.
All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here, Common Councilors and President Hudson. So I wanted to start with page 20. And hi. Page 20. And this is kind of broad overview of the DPW budget, last year's adopted budget compared to this year's proposed budget. Give you a second. We're on page 20. I assume your budget books are bigger than mine. I only have DPW, but you have the whole city, don't you? So page 20, I just want to illustrate that the adopted budget for last year was the 40.9, and the proposed budget for this year is the 40.8. So it may only be down the 0.2%, but down, not up. So. And if you don't have any questions about that, I'll move right into the main
Well, I would
office.
have questions from the administration if they were. Is anybody from the administration here?
All our people.
It's all
DPW.
Department of Public Works. I mean, you're one of the largest operating departments, and some of the departments I've noticed as we review this budget have gone up. It seems like the people that are filling the potholes and taking care of the streets and roads are, all of a sudden, we're cutting them. But I'll reserve one if any of them ever show up here.
Well, I would reiterate what Jeremy said about Jenna. She's amazing at her job as the fiscal officer, and in expenditures that maybe last year we didn't use, we cut that, and we put that where we needed it rather than asking for more money, right? And so it's really just being efficient every year and holding us all accountable. She's excellent at that.
Not to, of course, argue with the first deputy commissioner of Department of Public Works, but I think all my counselors would agree that we probably have more communication with you than almost any other city department. So you're really important to us, and I'm a little surprised by this, but I'll let you continue your presentation.
So you're saying you would like to give me more money?
Well, I think it's a surprise in lieu of the whole. Well, it's a surprise in lieu of the whole budget, especially like a budget that's been presented to us with a 2% tax hike. So that it looks like even if we approve the 2% tax hike, you wouldn't get any extra money. So why don't you go on with your presentation?
All righty, thank you. So I'm going to move right to the main office, which is 150. We skipped a bunch of other departments, not DPW stuff. So.
Well, nice to see you.
Hello.
Well, I was just expressing surprise at the little cut to the Department of Public Works, Ms. Dunham. Because a lot of times, us counselors, that's probably the department we call the most. Take care of our issues, the city's issues.
So to catch you up, Corey, we were just saying that Jenna's amazing at her job and that the budget pretty much stayed flat when you look at the numbers. It's the 0.2% isn't much, but it's good. And so it's Jenna kind of constantly looking at what was spent, what wasn't spent, what's needed, what's not needed, and evaluating that and changing that as we go. Whether it be more salt, less salt, all kinds of different things we can get into as we go through it, page by page.
It's a good thing, right?
Well, I don't know. It all depends how you look at it. I mean, in conjunction with the whole budget and all the other city departments and like contemplating, I know we have a $27 million deficit. This is what it looks like. But some of the other departments, vary as far as whether they go up or down. I'm just a little surprised the Department of Public Works would be one of the ones that would, we limit the spending on them.
We appreciate it.
Okay. That's what we got from the administration. Why don't you go on? with it?
I mean, it's
Well, no, I mean, I'm
I don't
just
want them to
saying-
arbitrarily inflate their budget.
No,
but
if it's a true budget, I mean, I think it is. It's the best projection you can make. But
Yeah.
I think we prevail upon them quite a bit.
sure.
And I just maybe I wouldn't be surprised down the road if we're going to be transferring money over to this budget.
Yeah, I don't anticipate
No.
that being an issue, and I don't think historically that's been an issue for DPW where
No,
they
no.
have costs that we need to do a mid-budget transfer into their budget for something that's unanticipated.
No.
Unanticipated, as if this city hasn't been visited with unanticipated instances, or
No, I'm saying from DPW, generally speaking, other departments have issues, costs they didn't anticipate, so we often need to transfer money through the mid-year budget transfer into other departments to cover unanticipated costs. And I'm looking at folks that have been here longer than I have. To my knowledge, generally speaking, the mid-year budget transfer, to my knowledge, does not include transfers into DPW because DPW is able to anticipate their costs.
okay. Well, we'll see how that bears out.
We'll see how it goes.
I had a question. Does budget transfers have anything to do with employees when they want to leave DPW, go into parks, or, does it have anything to do with that?
No,
with budgets?
no, I mean, because as long as the individual is moving from a budgeted position in DPW to a budgeted position in parks, then all the money can remain in the departments.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Do you have that's vacant?
Right now? Roughly 380, I would say.
You want this one, Jeremy?
That's including temps as well, you want? Including temps as well? Or just?
not including
Well,
temp.
I'd say 380 to 400.
384, those are, and how many are vacant?
Right now, we have a high vacancy rate just because we just got out of winter. And during the winter months, we have an agreement with the union that we freeze movements because of snow and ice. We don't want people coming in and out of snow and ice. We want to keep those people there. So vacancy rate is really, really high. And the fact that we just can't get drivers. So I would say we probably got about 50 to 60 vacant positions at DPW.
And the 50 to 60 vacant positions, I know they're counted in as dollars, right? Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So I have two follow-up questions. So the $82,000 that is last this year, where did
It's all
that
over. So
unused?
when we go through the pages, you're going to see pluses and minuses in each department. And, it could be $200,000 savings here, a $100,000 increase here, and it goes back and forth between all the bureaus. So I can't say that it comes from one spot in
Yeah.
general. It's everywhere. So it's cumulative.
DPW is kind of wonky. It's because we have so many departments, budgetary departments. I wish it was just, keep asking her, I wish it was just one DPW budget and we could just go from there, but for some reason, budget won't let us do that.
Jeremy, how long have those positions been vacant?
So it depends. Like the ones that we put on hold as far as the movements, that's since November. So once April hits, everyone just vacates to their position and leaves us, usually to go to either parks or water or some other position. I mean, we don't, not saying we don't get players in, but we also have a shortage of drivers, so that kind of coupled with that. So I couldn't really give you a number. I would say 6 months.
So those 50, 60 vacancies are impacting the current budget that we're trying to figure out. Are those positions that are, I mean, if they've been vacant, do you really need them, I guess is the
Yes,
question.
yes,
Okay.
we really need them. I mean, we have, I don't have our HR person here, but we probably have about 45 bids up for positions that people within the city can bid on.
That just
That
were bid out.
were just
Like
bid out.
They haven't been bid and just sitting there. Because we came off
Yes.
of nights.
So we
they
don't
just
know
got bid
exactly
out.
where we are until about a couple of weeks from now, and then we'll know. And then we're planning on having a job fair and trying to entice people to come. It's hard. I mean,
So how long do you leave those vacancies open before you remove them out of the budget?
we don't remove them out the budget.
Yeah, no, that's part of the problem.
If we're trying to find a driver,
driver,
for
we would-
example, that gets bid out internally first, and then we go to the open market, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to try to recruit new drivers every day, because we need them every day.
So
What is it listed under for drivers? 'Cause I haven't seen that.
MEO, MEO 1, MEO 2?
MEO?
Yeah,
Motor equipment
motor
operator.
equipment operator.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't necessarily try to get rid of that position
Okay.
because we still need snowplow drivers, and we won't know until we bid them out.
So Commissioner, now you did mention that for this year, you wouldn't know exactly, the total vacancy, right? Because the year hasn't really ended yet, right? Is that accurate?
Not, like I said, between November and April, we usually put positions on hold.
Okay.
So you can bid on those positions. So we usually just keep people in DPW because of snow and ice. Then once April hits, then it's free for all. You can go wherever you need to go, and then we will have to backfill. Sometimes we hold positions because we have departments that are emergency bases, like sewers. We can't give up 12 people in sewers or we won't have anybody. Street repair, we can't give up 20 people in street repair because we don't have anybody. So we usually keep those people, but right now is a little tough time because we're coming off of nights, a double shift, a night and day shift, I meant to say, and we don't actually know where we're at until the bids come back.
That is a constant process, Counselor Lee.
Every year.
So, people in Sanai are going to bid on those, and then they're going to leave Sanai, and then that opens up those jobs, and then we have to backfill those jobs. So it's a continual process.
So I take the $82,000 that you are under this year. Do we also infer that $82,000 has some sort of salary and vacancy in it, or this just operation, 82,000? Is it just operation?
It's just overall. We didn't cut any positions. That's not what we do. We don't try to cut anybody's position.
I'm asking that, Commissioner, because, when you look at vacancy, when we approved DPW budget last year, it included salaries,
Yes.
right? And then if you ended up not hiring some of those individuals because of, lack of finding maybe the talent, right? It's where does that sit? Because if you are coming back this year and saying that you only short by $82,000, what about the vacancies? Because it sounds to me that you didn't really fill some of those positions, and somehow those vacancy salaries should also be reflected here that they were not used.
I believe it is reflected in the budget. It's a
They're
vacancy rate.
reflected in the budget, obviously. The vacancies, even though nobody's there, is still part of your budget, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think, how many vacancies we have as far as drivers go?
Over 50.
We have over 50 vacancies and 50 drivers?
Should be in the book, right?
They're all CDL positions. they're not gonna all be drivers, but they're all CDL positions, most of them are.
So I guess with all of that, 50 this year, what was it last year? Because
I couldn't tell
as
you
we
that.
look at the budget, that should at least be reflected in the spending side of the budget, right?
So counselors, just a quick point. So DPW has built into its budget a vacancy rate, which for most departments is about 4%. For DPW, I think it's 8%. So in the budget, we anticipate DPW is not going to have every position filled that it has on its roster for all 12 months of the year. DPW has the unique challenge in that it is as large as departments like police and fire, but has much more turnover than almost any other department. And so built into the budget is the assumption that, you know, we are not funding every single position for 12 months of the year because we know that there's going to be that turnover. So there is an 8%, I think, was it this current fiscal year? I think this current fiscal year, we have an 8% vacancy rate, and I think that's the same for this coming year. Anticipating, to your point, Councilor Majoke, that not every position is going to be filled, and so the salary reflects that. So the salary does not, if DPW were to fill every single position and keep it for all 12 months,
I would love it.
yeah, that would be great. That would be a great problem to
be
have.
awesome.
We would have to move some money around salary-wise because we account for the fact that there are going to be vacancies in DPW's budget.
And this is where I'm trying to go. You know, last year we adopted 40 million, 905, right? We adopted that, and then I guess we with the proposed. I guess never mind. I'll have to see what was spent last year because it's not in here. I want to see what was spent last year versus what was adopted. I guess that's what really informed my question, and that's where I'm trying to go, right? So I'll hold off on that.
I have a question. Commissioner, I need some clarification.
Sure.
Because some of the DPW employees approach me. So I assume that every employee assignment is a member of CSCA.
Every employee? No.
Yeah, so they're not all, okay, so they're not everyone is a member of CSCA.
We have
Do
very
you
few.
have the power, when there is a vacancy, to ask someone from another department to go into another department which is at a higher rate without any bidding? Without any bidding, I have a vacancy, I think you're qualified, I'm gonna put you in this position for, and you're gonna get a higher rate. You don't have, okay, you don't have that power. And you don't have the power, when you find someone who you believe is more higher qualified than this person, you don't have the power to say, I found someone more better qualified, so I'm going to ask you to go back to your old position, a lower rate, otherwise you're going to be on your own.
No, sir. They gotta
So
apply
there
just
is
like
no
everyone else.
truth, anything, that you don't have the power as commissioner to tell someone to go from one department into another department at all.
It's contractual.
So it's contract, so what I'm saying is you as commissioner, you would never do that, move someone from one department to another department because you have a vacancy.
We would get grieved. Yeah.
You wouldn't do that?
No.
Okay. All right, so I wanted that clarified, I wanted that clarified.
I mean, they could apply.
Yeah, they can apply.
They can
Go through the
apply.
process.
They can apply, so even if they're not bidding, they don't have to bid on this, right, on some positions, or do they have to bid on everything?
Well, there's Local 400, there's the crew leaders, there's very few CSCA, but it's a bid process for Local 400, which is the vast majority.
All right, so their backup is through their union, or their union rep. Okay, thank you.
So we are still on main office, and so does anyone have any questions about the main office positions
I do.
or the operating budget?
I have a
President
question
Hudson does.
about the main office. Looking at this, it says Deputy Commissioner Technical is a flat rate of $35,000. What does that mean?
That's
That is Mr. Marty Davis.
that's Marty. He's
50 years this year at the city.
50 years in DPW.
So he's part-time?
Yes.
Correct. yes.
Okay. And then it said, okay, that says one position is for half a year. Is that
Yeah,
that
it's
position?
our secretary is retiring this year, and we need someone to shadow her for a little bit. She's been there 35, probably years.
Was that the administrative assistant?
Excuse me?
The administrative assistant is a
Yeah,
half a year?
yes, that's true.
And I see that you're adding two positions, Division Zero Analysis
Yes,
and the City Works Administration.
yes.
You're adding those two, but the transportation planner you're taking out.
Yeah, that's been, I think transportation's been moved to another position, no? It's just gone? Yeah, I guess it's gone, not needed.
Okay.
So you don't need it?
No.
This is that.
Which one kind of
Transportation
takes that
plan.
over? Is
That
that
would,
the-
I think that's Division Zero, right? Yeah, Division Zero took that over.
It's more of a title. Yeah.
Actual, anything else.
She asked my questions.
Add to this, right? Vision Zero.
Yeah, Division 0, and City Works, admin.
I want to recognize Councilor Gathers is here, the DPW chair, and Councilor Jones-Rouser, too.
Thank you.
Counselor Gathers, did you get a?
I do, thank
Okay.
you.
Org chart?
And I don't want to rush, but if you want to move off of main
Oh, one
office, we
quickie,
can
and
go.
I know the answer to the question, but I'm gonna ask anyway.
Okay.
Page 152, the salaries went up. Is that the 2 or 3% that's contractual?
Contracted, is
That's-
it the line 5-4?
You're talking about the salaries increase?
Yes.
I think that's more of contractual, right, than contracts? We need assistance from Julie, our budget person, to answer that one.
The 100 line on 152. I think I know the answer. Okay.
Oh, the contractual services related to parties.
Oh, you're talking about, okay.
5417.
541700?
Yes.
That one, that is a Sura item.
Okay, so that's Sarah.
Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah, that is Sura. One position.
Yeah, DPW only
That
has
got
one.
added in the
I was just
last,
gonna ask you, you only have one Sarah position?
got added in the last minute, yes. Never had one, previous to this.
Previous to us, I think.
Well, previous to us, yeah, you're correct.
What does that mean, related to parties?
I can't speak for the definition there.
We can get you an answer to that, Counselor.
Just to clarify, Mike Kenazare, Commissioner of Finance. So a couple years ago, we broke out Sura from the contracted services line. So the 541-500 line used to have Sura salaries and true contractor expenses. So I think 2 years ago, we made a very deliberate decision to carve Sura salaries out. So related parties, Sura is a related party of the city. So that's just the definition of that name now. So the 541-700 line is only Sura salaries, and then that 541-500 line would be true, contractor expenses. So, thank you.
You're saying that this is only one position? This is one position?
It is salary and fringe.
Okay.
So yes. Yeah, it looks high, but it's fringe as well.
That's going to be new positions.
Okay, I want to go back to this driver's thing again.
I didn't hear you, Counselor.
I said, I want to go back to this driver's thing again.
Driver.
Yeah, and
You got some drivers?
Yes, and page 169, you got 33 Motor equipment,
169?
169, yes.
You wanna go now, or you wanna?
Well, I
wait
just
until
want to, like, skip ahead here, because why, remember that question. So you got 33 motor equipment operators, correct?
Hold on. I
And
can't- where
on
we
that
at?
page.
We are sanitation.
Yeah, okay. And then you got motor equipment operators on page is this 172,
172.
and that, you got 14 and 21, so that's 35. Now, is that a total, 33 and 35? That'd be 68?
We got way more than that.
Okay, where else would you list them?
Street repair, street cleaning, there's drivers and sewers.
I know, but I mean, where would you list them here in
It
this
should be on the
beautiful
page.
document?
Once we get to the, if you wanna, once we get to the department, we can outline the drivers if you want.
Okay.
Council.
I just, because when you said you were like 50 down, it was like,
He was saying the whole entire year, so I kinda guesstimated 50.
but I mean, when you say 50 down, you mean like, obviously you mean the people, but you also, I'm just wondering how it's listed here as vacants, as positions.
It wouldn't list that right away.
When you say 50 down, you mean, I still don't get it.
Okay.
We can, as
Somebody
we go
explain
through
it
it,
to
we
me,
can bring
please.
up,
So when we go through the departments, I can actually tell you exactly how many we are down if you want to do that, but
Yeah, because I mean, we've been asking every department, basically, what is the reason? I mean, obviously, pay in some case. I know residency's an issue. We're just trying to figure
I think it's a
out.
combination of both.
You're
I mean,
right.
you think about it, we get rid of a driver leaves for here to go to the state.
But if somebody could maybe send me like a short email, explain,
Yeah, I
not
can
only,
do that.
not about the reason, but exactly how many positions are open.
I can get you a correct
How many
answer.
drivers would, when you say down, how many
I
drivers?
just
would
want to
you
wait
have?
until after these bids come back, just because that'll change everything. You see what I'm saying?
No.
so a week from now, it's going to be different because the bids are going to come down for all the jobs.
Because I
So
held,
be able to fill them?
Well.
we'll fill some. It's kind of confusing.
Even if it's I guess it is.
It's kind of, I'm sorry. I
No, I
don't know how to explain it correctly, because winter is a different animal. It's because we hold bids.
It's still hanging on to it, but, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that family member that don't want to leave the cookout.
We're just trying to get a good handle on it.
But when we,
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
I think we're just trying to find out the impact of like pay and also residency are on the operations of city department.
I think there's a great opportunity though here, because we have the superintendents here, that they can give you their perspective on that too. Is it residency? Is it pay? Is it something else that we don't see? And also, just like when you were at Parks, so when we bid this out, somebody from Parks could bid over to DPW or vice versa, and we won't know until that happens.
You mean sometimes guys go from parks to water to
Occasionally.
DPW, DPW water to parks?
They just hop.
Yeah, I've been around, so I understand the dance sometimes.
Yes, yes.
It's like musical chairs.
Yeah.
It really is. So you will go, all these pages here. The next section we have is environmental services on 153. So this is our beloved Andy Jakubowski. He's here. Okay. And so we have his personnel, his staffing here, and his budget. And his number of employees stayed the same. The change you will see, and you'll see this just about every department, you'll see the laborer 2, we went from 6 positions down to 0. And yet motor equipment operator went from 2 to 7, right? And then laborer 1 went from 4 to 5. So we're just not using that laborer 2 anymore.
The actual name of
The
labor,
title.
The title.
So they're either becoming an MEO, which is motor equipment operator, or they're becoming a laborer 1. It's just beneficial to us.
It's a department change that I requested last year. just operations-wise, it helps us.
I think it helps the whole city, because obviously this crew works with the police,
Oh, yeah.
SEPTAG and all that,
Codes.
all the other departments, so.
They're the
yeah,
people
it's a
that I
good
call
choice.
when you say, hey, tires are everywhere, and call Andy. He's the guy.
Oh, I got his number.
So it's not that we changed the staff person or anything, it's just a naming change. So. But you're going to see it for each and every one.
What is 1AB, 1A, what is that?
That's, I think MEO2, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is payloader operators, and MEO is dump truck drivers. Yeah.
All right. If there's no questions about environmental services, we will move on to Division of Building Services. So this is Kevin Henry. And we have on 157 is the list of all his positions. And then his operating budget is 158.
He oversees all the trades and building any building that you're in, the city owned, he oversees that, so.
157. Okay. And so you see his position stayed the same. Kevin does a great job. If you don't have any questions about building services, I can move on to street repair, but I don't want to rush.
For the temporary services, do we use the same people? I mean, are those employees or
For trade,
do
you're
we
talking?
just
No,
have
there's,
people in a list and we go who is
I believe they
available?
have to go to a union hall, correct?
Okay.
Yeah, because they're all licensed trade members, so they would have to go to a union hall.
Are they technically apprentices then, Kevin? Okay.
For the carpenters and also the electricians. But when we get temps in every year, we go through the union. They're actually union tradesmen. We just hire them on a temporary basis out of the hall to work for us for 6 months, because during the winter, we don't need to house 7 roofers when they're just chasing down leaks and knocking down icicles. We don't need to house 4 masons. So some of those positions you'll see, there's full-time and then there's temps. But yes. we
So you
follow
have
the
like,
union.
you have the journeymen who are on with the Department of Public Works and that special agreement you got with the union. And then
Yes.
you also bring in journeymen on a part-time basis, right?
Yes.
From the trades, yeah.
Yep.
And when you said the pre-apprentice, that's something the union's doing, right? The pre-apprentice
This is
program?
something, yeah, this is new, but yes, this is all through the union also.
Oh, that's a great
Yep.
program.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Because it gives an opportunity for a lot of our
Yep.
city youth to. be
Yep, and it's working out
tradespeople.
great for us so far too.
Kevin, do you also struggle with vacancies as well, or at least retention?
So, I mean, with the trades, we don't really struggle too much with vacancies. No, I'd be wrong to say that. We do have a bunch of people that bounce around with our local 400 people. I oversee buildings and grounds too, the grounds department for DPW. So just guys transferring when they feel like it here and there. But to be honest, I don't think we have a huge problem with vacancies.
So out of your 44 number of position here, as of today, they are all filled?
Trades, 44 trades.
For our trades, no, they're not all filled.
Okay.
No, but
How
we're in the
many are
process
open?
of filling them.
How many are open?
How many aren't filled?
Yeah.
Probably 6. Yeah, probably 6 of them. And that's kind of by choice, other than some of the electricians. Like, I have a couple of mason positions, but right now, until we get a huge job, I was kind of holding off on them, and, you know. But, I mean, I see no reason why we won't be filling them this year.
And they haven't been open that long, right? Have they? Okay.
No.
Okay, so you don't really struggle filling your position,
not at all.
really? Because the union can help and,
Yeah, the union, I mean, they always got people waiting to work, and usually we bring them here as a temp. They work out for us for 6 months. What we do is we turn these temps into full-time employees. A lot of our full-time employees were once temps with us. That's why we hold temp positions with all the different trades.
that's wonderful. That's great.
Kevin, what about space for your crew?
The space, yeah, it's very limited, but Matt, OJ, I guess there's some plans down the road with Patrol East. I don't want to speak too soon because tomorrow I'm going to be meeting with Michael.
We're looking at places for Kevin and his people. Right now, he shares kind of with the Parks Department down there, and it's just a little cramped down there.
I know, that's why I asked.
Yeah, so he's been asking, and we've been searching. We've been working with Matt OJ to try to find some.
We have
property.
ideas, but.
Yeah, we do have great
Concepts.
ideas.
But I'm
So
glad
thank
you
you.
mentioned it because we have outgrown that space. City Skilled Trades used to be a service department. We would go unplug toilets, do this and that and the other. But right now, a contractor is really not going to get any money with the city unless it's something that we absolutely cannot do.
Yeah.
So we take on a lot more than we have in the past.
They do a great job.
They do. Thank you.
So, Division of Street Repair, 159. And so we have the listing of all the employees, and we have the budget. And there are a few changes there. Any in particular you want me to talk about?
I want to ask about the street cuts, because I know that at some point, we used to charge like a fee and it would go into escrow. So if they did the street cuts and it wasn't put back right. But I'm seeing a lot of them that aren't being put back right. Are you still charging that fee for the street cuts?
So engineering and the council just approved recent changes that came through the Department of Engineering to restructure the program. So basically, when somebody pulls a permit for a street cut, that there is a refundable deposit that they need to put down based on a number of factors, including, the size of the cut and, what the cut is for. And engineering and through the Central Permit Office will hold on to that funding until we see that the road has been restored to our standards. And if they don't do it, then we're going to keep that funding. And the idea there is to help cover our costs because, and I'm sure President Hudson, driving around, it's great to see developers developing new housing, but usually a lot of that new housing comes with street cuts for water services and so although that housing is great and something that we want to see, we end up historically bearing the cost of restoring that road. And so that came through the Department of Engineering, but it will be done in partnership with the Department of Public Works to hold our contractors, utility providers, developers more accountable to the condition that they leave the road when they're done doing work.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah,
I am very supportive of this legislation.
and I appreciate that.
Now, how's it going to work procedurally? Who's going to go out and actually check?
So there is a position in Department of Public Works budget.
Even with the cut?
Even with the cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
Because I think that might generate some income.
I hope so. I mean, it's one of those things where hopefully it doesn't because everybody does what they're supposed to do. The reality is that's unlikely to happen. And so, I think we're really looking to recoup our costs that it ends up falling to street repair and other folks to make the repairs that these cuts are done as part of these development projects or in part of utility upgrades or anything like that. And so, there is right now one position in Public Works, and the program went into effect April 1st. And so, we're going to wait and see how much work this generates. Does the staffing right now meet the need? We'll see how it goes. But also there is, Matt Fiato from DPW, there's Mirza and Kivelhan from engineering. A lot of people's eyes are on this. What?
Time that happens, that means nobody does it. Well, I mean,
No,
some-
but there
we're gonna
is
have a specific person.
an individual, like Matt Fiato generally works with National Grid. So those are some eyes on National Grid, so this is an extra set of eyes. But this person's sole responsibility is to enforce that ordinance and hold people accountable.
We haven't hired that person yet.
No, we've got the job. The job is, the job description is finalized. It's with the county for their civil service process to sign off on it. But we want to get this posted as soon as possible because obviously construction is starting any day now.
Solar Street, catch that one.
Yeah.
Big dip.
Yes.
So with the street cuts, why don't we just make it that the street repair guys do the repairing of the street cuts instead of allowing water department or other entities replace them so that we understand that it's done? Because if somebody else is doing it and it's not done to the way that we needed to get done is redundancy of services here. So why don't we just designate that to the specific,
Funny you said that, because we have a department that's being formed this year just to do that, for the water department. We got a
water
7-man crew
department.
that's just gonna solely focus on street cuts, on water
we
cuts.
have it to just be with the street repair?
Yes.
instead of- That'd be just with street repair instead of the water department.
It would be with street repair. So how it's gonna work is, there's so many water cuts, right?
Right.
Previous to us, where we're gonna focus on present and future, and they're gonna focus on the past. So they're still gonna have, I think they're gonna have a contractor to do it, if I'm not mistaken, to focus on the past water cuts, because we can't go backwards and be able to still stay current forward. So we're gonna focus on present, future, and that's what that department's gonna work on. So I think it's about 7-8-man crew in street repair.
When some of the, like, say, National Grid does a street cut and then they have to fill it back in, are they filling it with the same material that we fill it with? And is that part of some of the issues with the streets?
I would have to, yeah, I would have to defer to Kev. Can you answer that? Kevin Hunter, our street repair superintendent.
Yeah, in the wintertime, they use cold patch, and in summertime, they use hot patch. So, yeah, same material. Fantastic.
But there are, sometimes they're using asphalt to repair what was concrete because it was a sidewalk, or it was a corner. And so we just want to make sure we have the teeth to hold them accountable, to make sure that they leave it in the condition that they found it.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about the streets.
Right.
Because I just don't like them.
Well, I think we all, I know our guys do the job, but, everything that happens in the city, every time somebody runs over the pothole, they blame the city. So this legislation is a great idea, but procedurally, this fellow, or woman, whoever we hire,
Sure.
is
It's going to be a lot.
important cog. Yes.
It's going to be a lot for this. Yeah, for this individual, they've got their work cut out for them, no doubt.
Did we talk about the asphalt plant operator? yet?
Oh, but you can.
We're waiting for you to come in, Councilor.
I got you. All right.
So some jobs were removed from here because we can operate without those positions. They weren't filled. We can operate without them, and that allowed us to create the new positions while maintaining our budget.
So speaking about vacancies, right? I mean, we had that position vacant for probably 2 years after our guy retired. Couldn't fill it. So we've chose to form a team that can actually run the department without having that position, so.
At the plant?
Yeah,
At the plant.
that's the plan.
So we have backup just in case somebody goes out sick or something like
Oh, the backup is that guy right there, Kevin Hunter.
that. Understand that? Who's
That's-
never
that's
been
the
sick a day in his
I
life.
don't think he missed days.
his backup?
You, me and you. No, we got plans. We got definitely, he's got a plan there where if something happens and our plant breaks down, we also got contracts where we can go out and get asphalt from other places. But we do have a plan.
All right. Any other questions on street repair so far?
All right, thank you. We have 163 is the garage, the motor equipment maintenance, which we call MEM. And so we have positions and the budget.
Can we back up? I'm sorry. 162, less reimbursement from street reconstruction. What is that?
62.
Line 519700,
Yeah.
less reimbursement from street reconstruction. So.
What is it?
Oh, road recon salaries that are reimbursed through CHIPS?
Okay,
Back to us.
Through
Yeah.
CHIPS.
So, yeah, reimbursement through CHIPS for road recon salaries.
So is the CHIPS caught up to date? Is everything with CHIPS are set up to date, application dates and all that stuff, distribution and everything like that, or what's?
It's moving along. The next reimbursement, the next date where we're going to submit for reimbursement is May 23rd, I think. Is Mike still here? Mike leave? Okay. Yes, May 23rd. And so, we're making sure that, Finance and DPW are in touch with each other to make sure that we're submitting all that we can for that May deadline. So, and API has been very helpful. We have another meeting with them tomorrow where they've worked to streamline the system for us to make it easier on both DPW and Finance.
Can you make it easier for me?
I'm not from API, but I can try.
Yeah, but when you do, can you add, when you do the reimbursement, put CHIPS, let us know that it's from CHIPS?
Sure.
Before you move forward, I have one question. For those positions that you're zeroing out because you don't think you need them anymore, like the right-of-way inspector, asphalt engineering, and the ones we've seen coming from the beginning of the meeting. So the responsibilities of those positions, are they being distributed into other positions, or is it just that that work is not needed?
In this case, in street repair, yes, it's getting distributed to another person, or people.
So can they handle the weight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We've been without those people for 2 years, 2.5 years.
Okay.
That's what I was getting at earlier. How long have some of these positions been vacant? It's been over 2 years.
Well, this position, yeah, this is a highlighted position where we've been trying to fill, and once we couldn't fill it, it's like, we got to move on.
But once you send your list of vacancies, you need the total year as how long has it been vacant as well. So that way we can determine,
We can give you a rough estimate. See, the CDL drivers are just tough because it's,
It changes.
You might have came into to Sinai 6 months ago and then leave and go to Source.
But that I understand, but with this one example you just gave, as
Yeah.
far as the right-of-way person that's been vacant for 2 years, any other position that's like that, just make that a note if you
Okay,
can, please.
got you.
And then we can determine, through the budget, what can we balance.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Thank you. Okay.
As far as the garage goes,
So, the garage.
I'll be doing my mechanics. You've caught up, everything's been pushing along with that.
Yeah, I think we're in a better position than we were 2.5 years ago. I mean, that 2.5 years ago, I don't know if you remember that we came to you guys and said trucks were down and we didn't have mechanics and we were begging for them. And I think we worked with the union, raised their pay a little bit, and lo and behold, we got mechanics. So, and then we got some mechanic helpers, Rich DeVesti, Chris Cassoni. Those guys are rock stars back there. So we're working all through that, and they're doing a pretty good job. Trucks are being up and getting back out there and in a timely fashion.
And we'll move on to snow and ice.
Now, snow and ice, you don't see the same personnel breakdown because snow and ice also is street repair and street cleaning. So, and sewers. So those employees are already represented in those pages, right? So those three departments transform and form snow and ice in the winter.
Only because there's no potholes to fill. I mean, there are potholes, but there is no street reconstruction going on. There's no street cleaning and stuff like that. So we usually form those guys, take everybody from street cleaning and street repair. And I don't know if about half of sewers in the winter, and we make up snow and ice.
Then moving on to waste and collection.
I had a question for the snow and ice. Did we also experience salt issues this winter?
We did.
Yeah.
And so I did see an article about the state kind of requiring for people to use the local company, and that was part of the issue, that they weren't prepared for the large load. Are we still going to be utilizing them, or are we able to
Diversify.
Yeah.
So part of it is we had 4 light winters, and so every single salt company kind of started producing a little less based on all the salt companies I talked to. And the bidding process, whether it was through the state or the county, they call and typically ask us, like, well, how much salt did you use last year? Well, we are going to tell them a higher amount, and that then holds that vendor accountable. So when the county goes and says Syracuse needs X amount of tons and you have to have it, they would be in violation of that contract if they didn't have it. But this year was unusual for every single town, village, municipality, city, and that most, used twice as much.
Yeah, in the last 4 years.
Yeah, that freezing temperatures all of January and February. I know we're all over it,
You
right?
couple that in with Georgia and Texas and Florida getting snow. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Quickly, before we move on, page 167, 500 line. It almost, looks like it's almost doubled. What is the operating supplies and expenses?
So that is salt.
That's salt?
Yep. Operating supplies and expenses, so that line that you saw, the 1 million and the 1.9, salt is part of that. That is not salt is not in that entire line, right, Jenna?
540, 500, 167. Operating supplies and expenses. Page 167. Salt, right?
So the 500 line is anything from like snow brushes, buckets, safety vests, gloves, boots.
So random supplies, but salt is a part of that.
The
Salt is a
majority.
part of it,
That's
yes.
the
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
the
just,
majority.
it's way more
Yeah,
expansive.
1.2 is salt alone. So,
1.2 was salt?
yep.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what out-of-title pay is? Is that an obligation?
Yeah, so that's when you have a super, like Counselor Geathers was talking about, a backup plan. So if you
Okay.
got a superintendent that's out sick and you got an assistant that's filling in for a vacation, then we would have, he's in charge now. We'll pay
Okay.
him superintendent pay.
All right.
That would be like when Jeremy's out, I get out of title. Just
never
kidding,
happened.
just
You
kidding.
had out-of-title pay, right.
Never happened.
That's why you keep Marty Davis there.
Yeah, 50 years.
All right, so snow and ice. And yes, waste collection,
Here we go. Fireworks.
my favorite department, as we
Has
all
that
know.
tip charge gone up?
Has the charge gone
The
up?
tip?
Tip in charge.
Oh, no, not this year, but their year is different from ours, of course. Ours is July, so we don't know yet if they're gonna raise it for next year.
So with the reorganization of our waste and collection team, the pickers that we've talked about some months ago, that we were gonna have pickers go around the city to help with litter control and stuff, that has been moved over to the litter side.
The what? I'm sorry.
I'm like,
We talked
litter
about
picking?
pickers getting to tires and stuff like that for those that are not gonna be working on the trucks. They're gonna be rotated around to help with the waste and litter around the city.
So we have optimized, how we use that workforce. So like you said, we went from 15 routes to 12 routes, and now we're sending out a separate truck that deals with just like complaint issues from the day before. There's a separate truck that's handling all the bulk pickups. There's a separate truck that's handling all the tire pickups. So it's just, we're utilizing them within sanitation and just, I think, providing a better service to the public because they're getting a dedicated workforce to address all those issues.
But it would be reflected in the waste collection.
It's the same employees within the same bureau, so
No
we didn't
changes.
have to move them around or
No.
anything.
And the result is we have less workman's compensation cases among those
Yes, I don't
folks?
think Lisa's here. We should have invited her, but she gives amazing data points about the
They
millions
can
of
always-
dollars
They can
saved.
always send it.
Yes, that's a good idea.
We'd be interested.
Have Lisa send a summary of the,
As far as equipment, I don't see the line yet. You can tell me what page. since the rollout of the recycling carts, do we know or have some type of idea what, if we're going to need a specific number of additional trucks to carry that load? Because I know you said there's only so many vehicles, that's why the recycling carts were every other week. Has that been an issue? Like, have people been on the wrong weeks? And
If it's the wrong week, if I put it out, I've put it out the wrong week. And so I go out and it's still there and I go, oh, it's fine. You know, I just pull it back and Sam's not going to cite someone for something like that. And neither
Because you're
Sam.
Deputy Commissioner of DPW. That's
So I would just remind you, Google City of Syracuse Trash Day. There's this searchable thing that comes right up. Councilor Monto isn't here. I believe he asks me sometimes. As far as biweekly,
Trucks is not an issue.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
It's like,
basically,
yeah,
are
No,
we
we're doing
down the
good.
line and
Trucks
mid-year
are not
going to
an
be
issue.
asking for additional?
No.
No, I mean, Rich
It's-
DeVesti isn't here to give him
Yeah.
the amazing amount of credit of what he's
It's
done
usually where
for.
we have the problems is absenteeism. That's the
Absenteeism.
yeah. It's not trucks.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you.
No, that's a very good point.
I was wondering, Corey, maybe this is just, as far as tipping fees, go, since the inception of our new trash carts, I'm wondering if we keep track as far as are the tipping fees going up or going down?
So I think, so you're talking about how much it costs us to dispose. So I think we
So
have.
I do have charts of the weights since, well, for years before and since of
'Cause we're either
trash tonnage. So yes, I have all that. It's the short answer.
It's just because we're more efficient, I wonder if we're picking up more trash and that this is going to cost us more money.
I thought the number had come down in terms of the
Yes,
tonnage.
For trash, correct, yeah.
For trash, the tonnage is going down.
And our hope would be recycling would go up,
Right.
but I don't have
Oh, I see,
that
because,
data yet.
Yeah, putting more stuff in the recycling bin and, given that it's a clear limit to how much trash you can put out, hopefully less trash being picked up every week.
And giving someone a recycling cart who maybe never had one before,
Right.
hopefully, would increase recycling.
And this might be a crazy question, but what exactly does the street sweeper do?
Okay, no, it's good. I mean,
Because
I
it
feel like.
doesn't seem like-
We actually have the person that runs the department here. He can actually explain that, right, Brian? Street sweeper. What do they do? What does the street sweeping actually do?
Mr. Collins.
Brian Collins.
They sweep all streets that have curbs, all curb streets.
Yes, but what does it do? What does the action do?
I feel like it.
No,
I feel
they
like
pick it up, they pick up
yeah.
all the dirt on the curb line in the street, and they dump it into a dump truck. Then that dump truck dumps at our site, and then we haul it to Madison County landfill.
Oh, so it's actually picking something up?
Yes, they're picking, yeah.
Oh,
There's these
They sweep it all
huge,
up,
like,
it goes up into a
brush, like,
conveyor in the
brooms
back.
on it.
Then when it gets full, we dump it in a truck, they go and dump, and then every week we haul it to Madison County landfill. So they're basically, they do a good job cleaning up the curb lines.
How many do we have? How
We
many
have 8
sweepers?
sweepers,
Okay.
but we're low on employees and drivers. I'm 10 drivers short in my department,
and short?
and 5 operators short, and 2 laborers.
And to go along with the optimization thing that we did, are the street sweepers also optimized as well? Route optimized?
So there is,
Yes,
I'm
we
going to
have
plug
routes.
API here because API is going to be
We're not on
working
the-
with them.
Yeah, we're not on the tablet yet, but.
Yeah, but our goal is to get them kind of more plugged into the technology that exists that we've been using in other departments. And I know engineering wants that as well because they would like the data as far as what we're street sweeping and where and optimizing that. And it has been, I'm sure you've heard this from constituents, to just coordinate a little better when we street sweep. And so I think all of that is possible, and that's where API is going to help us with that.
What about repair of the, like, brushes or anything? Like, how often is that needed?
In the spring, more than, midsummer, late summer.
Also, like, every year?
Yes.
Okay.
We go through brooms and center brooms and gutter brooms, and, but our garage does a good job, working on those and getting us back out in the street, so.
And I'm only asking this because I live in a community that seems dirty all the time. But,
You live where?
so,
The street that's always dirty?
yes.
You're not in the city then?
I am. And so, I guess more or less, I want to know, like, so there's not a pre-crew that comes and kind of like gets the stuck leaves or debris and pushes it out a little bit for you, kind of like sometimes.
Not for the sweepers.
Okay.
So what type of license
Yeah.
do you need to operate?
CDL you have to
Yeah.
have a CDL to operate the sweepers.
So what I'll do is I'll administer President Hudson's,
He's gonna cut this meeting short, but I wanna ask one quick question. When you have, I can't see, but when you have appliances and scrap metal, not you.
You're good, bro.
Over
I mean,
here,
I'm
you're
good.
Thank you.
And it says it's a revenue. Do we know how much that revenue is?
Is that it? I didn't hear you.
Page
correct.
171.
The line before last in 171.
Okay, where have you, okay, and send it to all of us.
so what we'll do is we'll stop this meeting here, we'll postpone it for another date, just to do the follow-up on the last two departments
Okay.
in the book, and we'll move forward just to stay on track over to parking garages.
That's us too, so you can just keep going with us. And
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
I said, that's us too, that's DPW too. You can just keep going on DPW. And we don't have to come back.
Yeah, I mean, garages is a pretty short subject, right, Corey, or? Whatever you prefer, we could keep going with DPW, or garages fall under DPW as well, like Jeremy said.
Well, we gotta wait for, I want to make sure Councilor Williams is here.
Yeah, because we gotta take a break in between anyways for streaming purposes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, because of the,
a minute or two. Prior to us going into the next, so if you want, we can, there's no other